Hey everybody, welcome to This Week in WordPress. Every Friday afternoon we get together and we talk about all of the best news, tutorials, and resources that have been published this week in WordPress. So, get any links that you want in the description of the video, load them up, let's talk about them, and if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the comments, and let's just have a good time and make Friday afternoon go by just a little bit faster. All right, everybody. I hope everybody is having a fantastic Friday. Appreciate all of the am I feeling better? Hope I'm feeling better comments in the YouTube chat. Really do appreciate that. We'll see how long my voice lasts this week. It's been bronchitis this week that has kind of knocked me down, so my voice is still kind of weak. So if I start coughing, we'll have to call this to an end. I see everybody from India to Berlin, lots of people coming in from the UK. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. If you're new to the show, basically what we do is there is a list of links in the description of this video. So, you can click on anything that's in there. They're all going to be there after the show, after the stream is done. You can always go back and look later. I've used these as archives for things quite a bit, and just follow along, see anything that will help you. I see David on Facebook saying that I need to adjust my volume. Maybe that'll be a little bit better. So you can just go through any of those. And, follow along, do whatever you want, and, just have fun with it. And let's see. And if you have any questions or problems or anything you've been doing that you need help with, we have a fantastic community here on in the chat and on the comments on Facebook. So a lot of people ask questions a lot and get those solved too. So please, if you have any questions for me or anybody else, we're happy to help. So let's move in first of all. Go into the news section and see what we've got here. I'm seeing a lot of people. I'm getting distracted by the comments, and I really shouldn't do that. I see people from Venezuela and Brazil, and I'm sorry that Roy has had to deal with bronchitis as well. It's terrible. I appreciate that, Bianca. I appreciate that that I sound better. From Berlin, awesome. So yeah, going into the news this week, I really wanted to start out with reminding Divi users something. I didn't put a link in or anything because there's not technically a link for this, but I wanted to remind everyone who uses Divi right now to go update. Even if you're an expired user and you don't have a membership but used to, you can use those API, the login and API credentials to update, because there was a security release that is available for everybody. You should have gotten an email about it this morning, I believe. But basically, there was an issue with some plugins allowing people to see posts that were drafts still if you had ever allowed user registration on your site. So let Divi update. You can fix that very easily. And if you haven't you haven't updated in a while, you'll get all of the current features up to 3.7.1. So make sure that you do that. It will be absolutely fantastic for you. And, you'll keep your stuff secure and awesome. That's what we want to do. We heard about it, we fixed it, and we pushed it out to you because we want everybody to be as secure as possible. That said, moving into, like we were talking about last week with WordCamp Europe that had been going on, and that you could live stream it and see what was happening. One of the things that happened over the weekend, I mean, if you guys have looked at anything, any of the recaps, any of the sessions, there was a lot of Gutenberg talk because it's coming up in, just a few months now. And they Matt Mullenweg announced basically the timeline for what they're going to be pushing for Gutenberg, and they laid it out by the month, and I'd linked to the WP Tavern article about it where they basically have it in bullet points, which is awesome of them to do, where you can see that they, in June, they're going to freeze all new features for Gutenberg. That after this month, they're not going to accept any new features into it. And then, hosts and agencies and teachers, things like that are going to be opt-in on sites to be able to use it. It's going to be an opt-in to use on WordPress.com for people. So we knew that was going to happen. That was going to happen pretty soon. And the mobile app is going to get support for the Aztec editor, which I'm not actually sure what Aztec is. I'm familiar with Calypso. I'm going to actually have to look into that a little more deeply to figure out, see what Aztec is. If any of you guys want to explain that to me, please do. And then July next month, there's going to be a strong invitation to, when you do this, this was what was going to come in 4.9.6, but it turned out to be the GDPR update. 4.9.x at some point in July is going to have the strong invitation banner to install Gutenberg or the Classic Editor plugin. That was something that they had pulled for a while, and they didn't include it because they weren't ready to do it yet. But now they're gonna start telling people to install Gutenberg. They're also, at that point, they're going to add the opt-out for WP admin users on WordPress.com, which was strange to me to hear. But and then they're going to be working on bug gardening. They're going to be getting everything. That's the way they put it on WP Tavern, was that they're going to be fixing bugs, making sure everything is done, because they've already got that feature freeze. And then they're going to be in August looking into hopefully having that core merge. They're looking at late August is what I had read, and I hope that they delay it a little bit more than that. I'm not necessarily ready for Gutenberg, just because of my particular workflow and things like that. They're wanting a mobile version of Gutenberg by the end of the year. They were just really starting out with the 5.0 release in August. So now we have a timeline, and I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware of this, that this is the 16th of June right now, I think. Yeah, this is the 22nd. This is the 22nd of June. Goodness gracious, y'all. This week has been crazy. That's what happens when you're sick. And this is the 22nd of June, and we now have something through the end of August where we know that what is going to be happening every step of the way, where if you're a developer or if you are a developer or a designer, you can know where your clients are going to sit with this. So I think that that's a really good thing. They also go down through the article talking about what people have said. There are a lot of quotes and takes on Gutenberg and the timeline and stuff like that I think you guys will find interesting as well. But I really wanted to touch on the timeline for that for you guys. I've seen a lot of comments on YouTube about that, not allowing user registration on your sites at all. That is completely that's safe as when you see stuff like this that happens. And then I'm seeing in Facebook that Roy has a question. If anybody sees it, he had a problem with a full width header that he put a background picture and couldn't get the background color to remove for the color background picture to show. I've used that, Roy, in the editor, where I've had to, and the customizer together, I've ended up having to set the transparency to 0 in my WordPress customizer, I believe, and then apply it in the Divi section header there. That may work for you. I've played with a lot of transparencies with those, so I may be thinking about what I did a little bit differently. I see someone who hates GDPR on YouTube, so that there's that. Irfan asked add upload files to the contact form. I don't know if that's something we'll ever do. I haven't heard that one's coming. It might end up coming. That is one that I have honestly not heard of, so I don't know. If I see anything about that, I'll absolutely mention it on here, Irfan. And the overlay attribute in the row section. What do you mean by the overlay attribute on that one? I'm curious. because we've been adding in a bunch of stuff with filters and different kinds of things like that you can do. So what do you want to do with the overlay? And so yeah, and also I see people talking about. I have to read the comments. On that topic, is there any chance Divi will be helping filters be compatible with Edge or IE 11? When you say filters, do you mean the ones that we have in Divi right now? The ones that we put in the customizer with the image filters? I don't. I'm going to say no, just because they, honestly, just because they're, I don't know. I don't think that will be the case just because of the way they are, but it might happen. That might be on the list of bugs. I haven't gone into GitHub and looked at the list of bugs that we've got and issues to go through. That might be one of them. And then it'd be good to have more short codes, like flip boxes and timelines. Incorporate the function of annexing in the file in the form builder. One thing that you guys are talking about with the files in the form builder and things like that, and then with the short codes with flip boxes and things like that, those are actually available through a lot of the third-party modules as well. If you go and check some of that out, I know that was part of, I've mentioned it before, what the 3.1 update was doing a bit of to allow stuff like that. I'd like short codes for modules too. That would be kind of neat to be able to do that. And in the news, going back to that, I wanted to move into the next section here while everybody was talking. That they announced what the WordCamp US city is going to be. Not going to touch on it much, but so make your plans for 2019 and 2020 to go to St. Louis, Missouri. Last 2 years, this year and then last year, we're in Nashville, Tennessee. And so next year and the next are going to be in St. Louis, Missouri. I've never been, so I'm really excited to go. WordCamp US is awesome. But if you plan everything out, then you'll know where to be able to buy your plane tickets right now to get them as cheap as you possibly can. I don't know if you can buy them right now. But okay. Sorry, I think I know what you're saying. Not necessarily editing them, but viewing, yeah. That might just be an IE thing, Reed. Since you're right, it doesn't like gradients and things like that. You could do, I'm thinking, I can't remember, I'm going to make myself sound like an idiot here, you guys, because I haven't done it in so long. Is there a media query you can do to simply exclude the gradient on IE if you're using a gradient on some that you could just, take it out of those others? I've done it before, and I honestly can't remember how I did it because it was only like a one shot that I just completely, I'm not going to deal with this, and just took it out for IE. But that would be my idea. That way you could leave it in the ones that get the most traffic so that it would look better. I don't know. And I see in the Facebook comments that Bianca ask who loves GDPR, and I don't hear that very often, so I'm curious about that too. So for those of you who are just joining us, if you're new to the show or if you're just tuning in, I only had a couple of things in the news section today for the stream. You can check those out in the description of the video, where we talk about the roadmap for Gutenberg, that St. Louis is going to be where the next couple of WordCamp USs are, which is really cool, and that if you have ever had a Divi membership, that there's a security fix that you can upload or update to for free. So just use your credentials and do that. Very important that you do it. I see a couple more comments before I move into the tutorials. You guys are awesome, by the way. It's hard to keep up with you guys today. Excuse me. I've used JavaScript code to detect if the browser uses filters, and you can use manual fallbacks. That is a pain in the butt, Chris. Man. Now, if you had them already written to be able to just include in a code module or something, but yeah, that's a Goodness. And Jay, timeline on form styling with toggle switch and range slider. I've got no timelines on anything. I will be completely honest with you guys. Anytime I ask on a timeline, I say it all the time. I hear about something and I'm like, oh, hey, do you guys have a timeline on that? When that's going to be coming out? Because people on my stream are asking, and I always get like, we're working on it, and it's going to be released when we get it done, because we want it to be good. And I don't honestly know with that going on, what the team is actually working on, because we have different developers on different projects. So I know they are being worked on, different stuff like that, especially the header and footer. Oh no, there it is. Okay. Oh, sorry, you guys. Sorry. Reed asked where the header and footer was right as I was about to say to cut it off before it came up that we were working on the header and footer customization. So I had to. So he did that. So thank you so much, Reed. Puts me off having to, and Jay says, puts me off having to buy for different components. At least with Visual Composer, you pay once for a lot of short codes. That is true. I will get you that. I will get you that, Jay, that there is a piece where, you're a member and there are all of these other modules. One of the things we do is we do want to support the community. So we do want this kind of community going around. And also, when it's something where we feel like we can add it in, and not necessarily, I don't want to even say better, because you got the solutions you guys come up with are mind-bogglingly awesome. When we can get it, when it exists out there, that doesn't necessarily knock it off of our list of things to include, because you can go back and look at the change log of things that we've included like that. But you can also, that's not the first thing on our list anymore. So that is something that we will be working on, I'm sure. But that's why. But we are probably working on them. Like I said, I haven't seen them, but you're absolutely right. I mean, I totally see there are a lot of reasons to go with stuff like that. I used Visual Composer for a really long time, honestly, and for me, one of the reasons that I got out of it is because of the amount of short codes. I know that I've heard a lot of people say about Divi breaking whenever they switched themes, and I honestly had it worse with Visual Composer moving from it to Divi. But it's personal preference on stuff like that. But you're right. We are, as far as I know, we are working on lots of different modules right now in the background. I'm not sure which ones, if they're going to be like the toggle switch and range sliders and all of the, flips and things like that. I know that we are working on a bunch of new inclusions. I know that they're going through the end of the year right now with their planning and getting it. I just don't know timelines on any of that stuff. So I do apologize for that. Okay, cool. So moving into the tutorials, there were a couple of things that I thought were absolutely amazing that I wanted you guys to see through all of this. And the first being the site, it's the second one, I think. Maybe I don't know, remember how far down it was. It's called this site. Oh man, I lost my thing. This site ahead contains malware. Here's how to fix it. And it was an article that was talking about why you get those big red browser windows that just say this site ahead contains malware, and you may not know anything. It messes with all of your visitors. It messes with your function, your revenue, everything. And I've had it happen to mine. I've had it happen to clients. And it talks about what you can do for this and the main reasons why it's on there. It talks about hacking, and it talks about ads. It talks about how a lot of times that stuff like that has come up because it's been you've had bad code delivered through an ad network. And I thought it was neat to be able to go through and talk about it, because they go through ways of reporting it to Google and removing backdoors if you were hacked, and going through this entire process. And that's something that doesn't get talked about a lot with this kind of stuff, is actually reporting the stuff to Google for how you get hacked and how your site gets compromised if it was through, say, AdSense or something else, because they work very hard to stop that, even if it doesn't seem like sometimes enough is done, because there's just so much of it. Excuse me. And so let me see here. I'm not exactly sure why I lisped there by accident, but I did. There were a couple of things on our site on the Elegant Theme site that I wanted to just point out really quickly, that I ran across a plugin and did a kind of feature over it on how to manage your WordPress files from inside the dashboard. And this has come in really useful for me. I've ended up using it this week a lot, actually, to mess with things. And when I found it, it just kind of made my life easier, that you get a full file manager. There's a file manager plugin that you just have inside the dashboard that works just like your FTP or cPanel file manager, and you only have access to the files for the website that you're on. And I loved this. Like, it's really quick and it works. And I just kind of did a quick overview of it for the blog, but I really liked this plugin. So I wanted to let you guys know that one of my biggest pet peeves of dealing with any kind of theming and coding is having around 3 or 4 different windows open, as well as lots of FTP tabs, just to be able to mess with one particular little snippet. So having this allowed me to do it with a modal pop-up code editor in my WordPress dashboard, which is great. Now, you have to be really careful when you're doing stuff like this, because it can break your site if you don't know what you're doing. You can't let everybody have access to it, yada, yada, yada. But it's awesome that it's there, and I wanted you guys to know about it on how to manage those. There was also Donyetta did a how to create and customize WordPress user notifications. Those are awesome. She always does good work there. I'm trying to paste that link in because I apparently did not have it open already to be able to do it. But where there was a plugin that she was going through on how to use, and I'm a big fan of notifications on WordPress on websites. I like them a lot. Also, there was one that Jason did. Man, I cannot find my list of things, you guys. It's driving me crazy. I don't know what I've done. I'm so sorry. Jason did one that was another absolutely beautiful tutorial that he had written about the secret to designing broken grid layouts. And like I said before, you guys probably know that I can do design to a point, but then there's really advanced stuff that I like. Oh, I didn't know you could do that with the builder. And Jason is a wizard with this Divi builder, and the broken grid layout that he's showing on here is absolutely beautiful. And I wasn't sure, reading the title when I first saw it, what it was with the broken grid, and then I saw it, and it really is just the overlaid corners and lots of transparencies and making things just super pretty. And now I know it's called a broken grid, and I always called them overlays and things like that. I know that's not the right term, so it's really cool that he did that. It's beautiful, and I'm so going to be taking his designs and running with them for myself when I do that. But all the content, I'm biased obviously about the Elegant Themes blog, but the content that the content team is putting out is awesome. Just that said, we released a new Divi feature update. I think it was yesterday, on the workflow changes, where you can get to things easier, make your changes better in the editor. So check that out and update it if you haven't. It will make these kinds of tutorials even easier to run with. So I see some comments have come through on Facebook, and for my site, Bianca says, I've chosen the agency template, and when I go to the Edge browser, the color is gone and only the picture is left. I don't have a solution for that. I'm in the header. Bianca, that is exactly what it is that that Reed was talking about earlier. I think it was Reed was talking about earlier in IE, where they're not noticing the filters on there, and it's a CSS problem. And I'm not sure where that lays or lies. Man, I was an English teacher, you guys. Where that lies in terms of the development cycle, and if they're going to fix that. I'm assuming it's a bug because, like Reed was saying earlier, that you just have to kind of take it out if you're not viewing it in Chrome or Firefox, and that's something that has to be a bug. I mean, that's not an intentional feature that we would put in. So, but I don't know anything about whether it's being worked on. I will try to look through and see if that is an issue that's been submitted and do that. I actually grab my notebook, and if not, I will submit that myself. I gotta write this down. Bug for IE11 filter. I have to make myself notes of stuff like this so that I'll do it. But I will if that's not on GitHub, I will put that in as an issue. Also, if you guys could, Reed and Bianca, since you've run into that issue, both of you with Edge and Internet Explorer 11, go into our forums. I think it's elegantthemes.com/forums, maybe, or maybe, I think it's in the members area, and submit a bug report on that, and they also see that, and that's how they get escalated up to GitHub as well, so that our team can take a look at the issues. So I would really appreciate it if you guys would do that. So thank you. And Uncle Social says, if he recalls correctly, that Google Search Console gives you help with the big nasty red search screens. Yeah, if you taking his advice, you guys, I do love the Google Search Console. I've used it so much to troubleshoot stuff, and if you don't use it with your sites, I highly suggest it. Just like Uncle Social said, it is great. And Jay, I do totally understand wanting to stay in the lead of things with competing with new builders and stuff like that. I do totally see where you're saying. It is a complicated situation in terms of making sure that we push out the changes that people want while they're stable. And the main thing that the main thing with that is the features that people are wanting and looking for. We want to be able to implement without crashing hundreds of thousands of sites, and that is something I didn't actually realize until I started working here on how each change was in the code had to be kind of looked around at so many different angles. But we are working on those. That is something that we're working on, fixing that particular issue as well, to be able to speed up development and get that kind of stuff out there. I can say that for a fact. I don't have a timeline, of course I don't, but I know we were talking about it back in December about this. We were talking about it just a few months ago, may have even been a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about this, but I'm hoping that will come through relatively soon, so that those updates can start coming a bit quicker for you guys. Because we are pushing up the feature releases a lot. And as these feature releases go, some are going to be, these workflow updates, and some of them are going to be major module additions and header and footer and theme building, that kind of stuff. Because like Decide said, theme builder ? Yeah, that's something that I want very much, along with that. Along with the header and footer. I do. I'm like everybody else. I want the header and footer editing in there myself. So, moving through some of the other articles, WooCommerce actually posted. It's just a very quick rundown of how to fix slow WooCommerce sites. And the main thing that I got out of this was that if you use shared hosting and you're wondering if it is your host, they actually call out, and it's not called out very often, and that's why I wanted to point this out on their site, that they say you can log in, and it's true, I've done this a lot. You can log into your cPanel or your host dashboard and look at the resource usage, and if that's not, and you can see where that's coming from, and you can see what's being used in the resource usage, and A lot of people don't know about that. So if you're like, I'm paying and this is a host and it was fine for a while, you can look and see if there's somebody else, if there's a lot of resources being used, talk to your host and see where it's coming from on your shared hosting. People don't think about that a lot. They talk about CDN stuff. They talk about making sure, your images are optimized, that normal stuff there. And then they get into database issues and making sure that you optimize your database, which is something you really need to do for WooCommerce. So check that out if you've ever had any kind of issues. I don't suppose you should check it out if you have never had any issues with WooCommerce, because it's, fixing issues with WooCommerce. Where is it at? Sorry, my brain is in a couple of different places right now with comments and links and stuff. One of them, Torque published an article on how to improve your organic CTR, and I liked this a lot. Like, I really love Torque's work anyway, but they go through stuff like down to the point where my southern accent came through on that one, and I was like, where you can do this. But it's these not even stuff you can do on your website, but just little practices that you can try as you're going through that, like trying different test titles on social media. Like, this is something that I did a lot when I was really blogging about running, was that I would try different things just to see which one got the better response. And it was very, very close in how people reacted on social to how it worked on organic results and click-throughs whenever I ended up changing the actual post title of the article itself that was searched. I mean, talks about using the proper formatting, of course, and all of that, but descriptive URLs, it talks about meta descriptions and making sure that you have schema.org structured data where you can do that. And that's something a lot of people don't have, that if you have the structured data, where the example they give is like you search for pancakes and then you get a recipe blog. The one they have come up is BBC Food, Good Food, and they look up pancakes, and then underneath that there are links that are also related, where it's like the classic pancake, the easiest pancake, perfect pancakes, where you can click the links under the main link, and those are schema.org stuff where you can have structured data going through Google, and you need to do that. It can do that. And Card, it is Dcard, saw him on YouTube here. It is Torque, TORQUE. This one is how to improve organic CTR. It is about midway down the tutorial section. And I've posted the link to that one on in the YouTube chat. Sorry, I was reading comments again, y'all. My head. But yeah, so that's a really good one. I love things that help you with real world ideas on what to do to improve CTR. I mean, there are tons of blogs and articles out there where they tell you like, oh, you need to make sure you have captivating headlines. And it's like, yeah, thanks. I know that. That's kind of the point of having a headline, dude. And then you see stuff that Torque puts out. It's like, make sure that you A/B test on social media first. Make sure that you use schema to be able to have structured data on your search results so that all of your stuff is pulled together, and then they show you how. Those are the kinds of tutorials that actually work for me. It's fantastic for me to do that. And so there are a few other tutorials in there, but I really want to get into the resources today. I very rarely get into the resources, so I'm cutting the tutorial short on this one, but you guys should check out more of these, like how to redesign your business website and how to create a custom login page. I love custom login pages. Yes, I'm a nerd that I can honestly say I love custom login pages. Things on how to test out which plugins are slowing down your site. That one is really, really fantastic. Comes from WPMU Dev, and there is a really good plugin that you can use for it, because some of the old ones were outdated, but it's really cool. I like it. Now, if you're just tuning in, I want to do the kind of reset here, that if you're just tuning in, this is the This Week in WordPress stream. Every week we get together, we talk, we have fun, we make sure that we that we just kind of make Friday afternoon good with talking about the best stuff that was published about WordPress this week. If you have any questions or comments, you can throw them in the comments and we'll help you. We'll talk. We'll be friends. And you can also follow any of the links that I talk about and see a whole lot more in the description of this video down below. Or maybe it's over here, depending on where your video is loading. But yeah, that's us. Excuse me. I see Decide Hosting. That's a good question. On YouTube, most of the updates we see are related to the Divi builder, but what about the Divi theme? About the future of Divi itself? Is ET going to release a simple theme and allow us to basically build everything? That is an excellent question. Let me think how to do it. I don't know how we're going to do that. We are working on theme building. That is something that I've heard. I don't know. Again, timelines. I'm a content guy. I write things. I don't know. That's something that is being worked on right now. How can I? Let me think on the best way to put this, because it's not even. I'm just trying to think on how the stuff works together. Right now, the Divi theme is a base theme, a very simple base theme that just has the builder plugin attached into it, like built into it. There is not a lot. There is absolutely no difference in the Divi builder plugin that you can download and the Divi theme, other than the Divi builder plugin can be used with absolutely any theme out there. That if you are running Astra or Genesis or anything else, you can use the Divi builder plugin in that theme if you want to. And you'll get everything that that is there if you've just loaded up Divi as well. So right now, they are working on ways to simplify that, and there is absolutely going to be an improvement in how everything works. And I think that is kind of the direction we're going with the header and footer and everything like that. And I know that we have recently put in Divi to be able to do custom post types and stuff like that. So absolutely, you are going to get that theme building that you want, because it's hopefully when all of that is done, you'll see that just the base Divi theme, what it is, the builder will let you do all of that with it. So, but that said, kind of rambling answer, yes. I'm not sure where what the actual theme itself is going to look like when that happens, when we get into the most robust theme building, like, all over where you're doing everything. But that is something that is being worked on, with especially with the header and footer stuff, and making sure it all ties together into one cohesive whole. So yes, I want a big theme building thing too. And if you haven't updated and tried the new custom post type stuff, do it. It's cool. I like it. I like stuff like that. I've been playing with custom post types a lot because of some plugins that I was messing with. I'm having a really good time doing stuff like that. So that's cool. So under resources, this one was one that I ran across today, and I put it in at the top of the resources up here so that I wanted you guys to see it. And I'm sure that a lot of you guys use Slack, right? I use Slack every day for multiple things. I hang out on Slack for my podcast has a Slack, my work has a Slack. I have a local community here of developers in my town, or well, the North Alabama area has a Slack. Like, I'm in Slack all the time. I'm in a runner Slack for a particular ambassador program. Like, I'm everywhere in Slack. I love it. And then I ran across this article today that was talking about Discord. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard about Discord, but this one, I use Discord every week as well. And they were talking about it as being a potential Slack alternative. And I never really thought about that until WP Shout kind of mentioned it, but it absolutely could be. So if you're using the free Slack, and you've hit the archive limit where you can have 10,000 messages, that kind of stuff, or you need to invite people and you don't want to pay and you need automated logins and they can set themselves up, you really might want to look into Discord. I see Colombian Hosting on YouTube says loves Discord. I'm glad I record my podcast on Discord. Actually, my partner and I get on, he's in Minnesota, I'm down here in Alabama. We get on Discord, and that's what we use to record local audio. We communicate through it while we record local audio and send it together. I send mine to him, and Discord's great. You can have voice, you can have text channels just like you can in chat. You have voice channels and then one-to-one direct calls, lists of contacts, things like that. It is really cool, and it's totally free. There's no upselling to it. It is designed for gamers. Like, that is the one thing about this. Like it says, if you can get around the kind of gaming branding that they've got, it's a really, really solid program that they have. I saw reads, "Oh, I declare," on YouTube as I'm talking about this. But Discord is great. It's a really, really high quality program, and it's updated a lot. So if there's something that, if you've been looking for a Slack alternative, I really do think the idea of using Discord would not be a bad thing. Especially if you do any kind of gaming too. I mean, not even saying that. It's just that Discord, you might already be in a Discord channel, have a Discord server for something, and you could always integrate it with your team to have just one window open, which is what I did with Slack for our podcast stuff. I got since I'm in Slack all day anyway, I was like, oh, we need to do Slack instead of Discord, guys, and we did. So that was something. And then Colombian Hosting has a good idea, a good point rather, on yes, it's for gamers, but it's super awesome, and you can add bots to channels, like a music bot for background music on voice channels and stuff like that. A lot of people use that for radio stations and stuff like that. Discord screen sharing beats the crap out of Skype or anything else. You know, JK, I have never used the screen sharing or the video chat on it. I use voice chat constantly, like weekly, multiple times every week, and the text chat as well. I've never done screen sharing or any of the other stuff. But there is a lot of tools. There are a lot of tools on Colombian, excuse me, on Discord that is great, that are great. And so if you guys have ever thought about that, check it out. And Uncle Social is apparently using a program called Telegram. And I don't know. I want to say that I love Telegram just for you, Uncle Social, but I don't know what it is. Telegram app. I'm gonna look for it. I'm gonna check it out. I typed it in for Telegram Messenger. That is one that's completely new to me. So there you go, guys. Well, not guys, Uncle Social. But I'll check it out and see. But I also, there was, excuse me, under resources, I ran across an article. Oh, hi, Dominic. I see you on Facebook. Sorry. And then I saw an article on that Securi did. Well, I think it was Securi. I think WP Shout had linked to one from Securi, maybe. No, it was WordFence, excuse me. The WP Shout talked about WordFence doing an analysis over self-healing WordPress malware called Baba Yaga. Sorry, man, my voice, y'all. And it's neat. Like, the cybersecurity nerd in me is like, that's weird, because it says, this is what it says in the article. Primary function is to generate spam content to be hosted on the victim's site, and the pages are loaded with keyword-heavy and meaningless word salad designed to attract search engine traffic based on those keywords, but it also tries to fight off other malware. That's the coolest part of it. And by coolest, I mean most terrifying and dangerous part. But it fights other infections for controls of the site. And that is ridiculous. And they link through on WordFence to a white paper that goes through a lot of it in depth. But when I saw that it was malware that fought off other malware, so it could be the malware on your site, like it oh man, that's just, it's really cool and terrifying at the same time, y'all. So y'all really should read about that. It's pretty cool. And then also WP Shout was like on point this week, you guys. Oh, before I go into the WP Shout, people are talking in the YouTube channel about Telegram being an app that doesn't spy on you, and that it's like malware, or like I got to stop reading. I just got to stop reading. Telegram is like WhatsApp, where it is a messenger service like that. Okay. And I'm assuming it does end-to-end encryption and all of that. It's that kind of thing really is useful for small teams and stuff like that. Can you do individual channels and things like that with the same users? Because that's really where the benefit for me and mine come in with Slack or Discord to be able to do it. To be able to have multiple like different channels where I can have a content channel, a podcast channel, a gaming channel, and then just pop back and forth between and have different chats in each one with any number of users. That's what I like about stuff like that, and why it becomes super useful. And file sharing, calling, you know that. But the other WP Shout one that I really wanted to point out that I needed you guys to see was he did a kind of a go over, I don't know. He went over an article that was published initially on Thoughtful Code, and this is something that comes up a lot with us being WordPress developers and WordPress designers. He said that PHP is the code that this guy David Hayes would choose to make a new software application using PHP even today. And he said, and he was talking about that you'll see a lot of people who say you should use Python, you should use JavaScript, and it goes through why you should be a PHP developer. And, you know, PHP is very robust. There are a lot of new things that are coming out. You know, whatever you should write in, obviously, but it's very, very powerful, and some of them are some of the languages out there are no better. People just like to think they are. That it's like writing PHP is tough. It is. Writing JavaScript is tough too, because it's ugly. It's not quite as code spaghetti as PHP is sometimes, but JavaScript, pretty ugly. And then I agree, Reed, you and me, we're on the same page, dude. Ruby on Rails was what I started in on. That was what got me into web development. So I'm a Ruby fan too. But yeah, so check that out, because it brings up a lot of interesting points and just things to think about, because I've had a lot of people tell me in the past, like when I've talked to them, it's like, why would you go with WordPress? PHP is terrible. I'm like, yep. PHP is kind of bad. It's like, all of them are kind of bad. Like, I don't like writing Python. It's like, man, I hate it. I do not like writing Python. I've tried so many times to get into learning Python. Just can't do it. But, you know, PHP, it's like, I'll look at it. I'm not the biggest fan of just straight PHP, but it gets the job done. So it's just whatever you're doing. And like Reed said, whatever you're trying to do. But check that one out. It's neat on why you should use PHP in 2018. And then there was an article that where WP Shout, again, they did good stuff this week, you guys. One of the best things, just consistent stuff, just push through all the time. They did a review, and it's the first one that I've actually seen and read through this in depth on the WordPress.com business hosting, where they have their own managed hosting now, where it's like WP Engine or Flywheel or any of the other managed sites, where you can get a business hosting account on WordPress.com now, and they go through the pros and cons and how it works. And what I thought was interesting is that even in the title, in the headline of this article, it says WordPress.com hosting review. It's good. And that's interesting to me because I didn't know how it was going to be, because I'm not the biggest fan of WordPress.com just because of some of the limitations on there, but they're opening a lot of that up now. And apparently the hosting that they're doing is actually really, really good. And that is a good thing. That's a good thing for WordPress, because people are going to be able to go there. They don't know what the difference in WordPress.com and .org. They get a managed hosting plan there. They have the almost full .org experience, and they've got all of this, and that's going to open them up to people like you and me. And so the fact that it is good hosting, which means that if people may be going directly there, then places like GoDaddy, which we've all had issues with at some point, and every time I've mentioned it on here, like the chat just goes, GoDaddy, and there's just anger everywhere. But since this is a good option and so many people will see it on WordPress.com, I'm really excited that it's good. Like that makes me happy. And I see in the YouTube chat, Colombian Hosting, can I rant about a client for a second? That the client has given us 3 or 4 rounds of edits, and on edit 2 or 3, they said do something a certain way. So they did. And edit 4, they ask why it's not done another way. It's driving you crazy. I'm so sorry, Colombian. That happens so much. And one of my last clients that I had before I got this job told me to do something, gave me an example. I did it, and then it was the exact same thing. It was like, why'd you do it like this? That's not what I said. And I was like, but here they look. These two things look the same. And I was like, okay, whatever, do what you want to do. But yeah, everybody has those clients, but it's terrible, and it's very frustrating. It's crazy. And then, I see a couple of people on Facebook are saying that I'm freezing. Hopefully that I'm not on, it's fixing a little bit. And, yep, and all of a sudden there's GoDaddy stuff is coming through. And then the very last thing on the list, I'm going to go, since the freezing, it may be starting. I wanted you guys to see the very last thing, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the description, and see the 5 things you need to know about mobile first indexing. Yoast put this out. I can't go a week without telling you guys to go look at a Yoast article. I just can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't do it. And they go through what you have to do and like what mobile friendly actually means. And they go through some of the stuff like Google even saying it's okay to hide content behind tabs if it makes everything better, if it makes the site better. You can use hamburger menus and accordions and whatever works as long as it makes the better experience for your users. And then I haven't seen this before, but at the bottom, where is it? There's a link in there. There's a link in the article that lets you test according to Google's mobile first indexing standards, where it will tell you whether you pass or not, and give you ideas of why not. So link through there and do that. And then there's there is also a link that goes through to another Yoast article that talks about making sure that you have mobile parity, that it is the same experience on phone as it is on your desktop site. So, okay, apparently things are going crazy on my stream it's freezing up a bunch. And apparently Slant, thank you, Tammy, on Facebook, Tammy Moore has shared a link of on a Slack versus Discord for you guys. If you're not on Slack, by Tammy Moore on Facebook. Typing this in. I sent that link on YouTube there in the chat here, where you can see that it is Slack versus Discord. That was awesome. Thank you, Tammy. And yes, she is right. Join.me has great screen sharing, and I've used Zoom as well for screen sharing, just straight up screen sharing. And weirdly, I've also used OBS, the same software that I'm using right now to stream with. I've used it just to send people a screen share of mine. It was a stream, but it was something that it wasn't like one-on-one talking. We were on Skype. I was like, oh, here, go to this, and I'll just send you a link. Did that too. No, it wasn't Skype. Maybe it was the phone. I don't know. I did it before, and I don't remember why. I don't now remember why. But anyway, my stream is doing weird things. I wanted to. I'll cut it here. I want to thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate you guys always taking the time out and coming in on Fridays and doing this. Remember, if you're new here, we love you, and you're now our new friend. If you are not new here, we love you, and we've always been your friend. And if you would like to come back, we are here every Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. The Elegant Themes crew does a lot of different streams. We're working on building it up right now, and our next stream is at 6 a.m. Eastern Time on Monday morning, and then there will be a live stream at 3 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon. So, so I want you guys to make sure you check that stuff out. And while I say that, Decide Hosting is in India, and it is 1:26 a.m. there, and still watching, and all because of me. Aw, you're the best. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. That really did make my day. Decide. I really, really appreciate that. And I will see you guys next week. And remember, if you want to get notifications for any of those live streams I mentioned, on Facebook, you can go to our page and pick to get notifications whenever the page goes live. And on YouTube, there is a bell somewhere. Maybe it's like right here. I don't know. I may not be anywhere close, but you can click on that bell and get notifications whenever the channel goes live for any reason. So click that, subscribe, the whole thing on that one. But mainly just get notifications when we go live because, you love us. We will see you next week, and Mac will see you early on Monday morning. Bye, you guys.